Well, I want to say a huge congratulations on this film, Joel. I loved it so much. There's so much charm and heart, everything that makes a rom-com a perfect movie to watch. So, congratulations on such a great film.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we had a really good time making the movie and looking back at old early 2000s films and rom-com, and we just that's just what we wanted to feel again because those are the ones that we love so much. So I appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to start off by chatting about the first time that Leah and Mason really meet. That first date, Leah's finally
Yeah.
halfway through her 40 date goal, and I feel like Mason, at least maybe at the beginning of the date, is a very calming presence for Leah. She's finally letting herself enjoy one of these dates. When you first read this script, what were some of these qualities that Mason has that made you most excited to step into his shoes and that you admired about his character?
I think one of my favorite things about Mason was how disarming he was, and how he was able to really just kind of settle into a moment and be comfortable in his own skin and allow others to be comfortable around him. Which I think is kind of what goes different on his at the beginning of his first date. And he sits down, he's able to immediately kind of share a moment and kind of break through the little bit of a wall that Leah's put up with her other 19 dates. And I really loved that. And I was excited to discover that on set, kind of his confidence, because I think confidence comes in many different genres and levels of like 1 to 10. 10 can be like a bit much, but 6 to 7 is like a really sweet spot. And then I feel like he just has this sense of like who he is, comfortability sitting in any conversation with anyone, and can really connect and talk. And I think there's a lot of like cool things to play with the character like that I just had a blast with on this film.
Yeah. Right away, you can tell that Leah is really able to naturally be herself. And so is Mason. And
Yeah.
that comes out so clearly, like you said, as opposed to her other 19 dates before that.
Yeah, no, there's an ability to be able to break through, kind of like break the ice, and kind of connect quickly so that you can move into like a conversation. And I think that's really cool because on like some of the other dates, like you can really see like her wall is up. Like immediately she knows like, this isn't the guy. This isn't the guy. So a wall is solidly there, and Mason's able to walk in and kind of like crack the ice a little bit, which is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Something else I really loved about the film too is the pace at which this budding romance unfolds between your characters. And I think that's so, of course, important to the film. And I'd love to know what those conversations were like with you and Bailey, your director, Andy Delaney, and of course, writer Sarah Howard, and kind of establishing how you wanted that pace to go into which events unfold during the film.
Yeah, no, phenomenal question. So we really we took the lead from Sarah Howard, our amazing writer. The script was so solid. We just followed along, you know. She wrote it out. She paced it nicely. Our editor also paces the film, takes the raw footage, puts it together, and really just like rounds it out in the pacing department. But we really wanted to take care to like have a really like good introduction to Mason. That like this is a different date. This is a different guy. Keep your eye on this guy, because the other dates they come and go very quickly, and they're not sticking around really. And so once they have a really terrible first date, then it turns into a little bit of a bickery conversation, and little hostility, little friendly hostility, and and then you can kind of watch it turn into a little bit of like, oh, that's a interesting connection that we have, and she's not that bad, and she's actually a pretty good friend, and from there you see where it goes. And rehearsal played a big part of that for me personally. I love rehearsing when I'm coming into a film, just to get to sit down with the other actors that are in the film, with my director. It's always awesome to have your writer around, but she was so busy getting things set up. I really remember it was Andy, Bailey, and I. and we got to find that pace that you're talking about. We got to run the lines. We got to solidify it, really discover it, and find some even unexpected moments that were more important than I originally flagged when I was reading through the script and preparing on it. Which is why rehearsal is so good because you find some moments of discovery and some gold that you weren't necessarily aware of beforehand. So huge fan of rehearsal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of those moments of discovery you just mentioned there that I wanted to chat with you about is when Mason and Leah are having a heart-to-heart in her living room.
yeah,
And Mason says he's talking about his ex, and he says, if she needed change, why didn't she just talk to me about it? And I thought that was so interesting because a lot of this film, we see Leah's self journey and her discovery into finding this happiness, into finding where she wants to be at this point in her life. And I think this was a huge turning point to see that, hey, Mason's also looking for his own happiness, and
yeah.
what does Leah bring to him here? So I'd love to ask you, kind of in your perspective, what do you think Leah brought to Mason in his life and kind of this turning point, this new perspective that she presents him with that is on his road to happiness?
Oh, that's a great question. I think that I think his Mason's first relationship, as I recall, it just sounded like it made sense. It sounded like it checked all the boxes, which
Yeah.
is a line that you recognize, that people watching this will recognize. It kind of sounds like that to me, where it wasn't really like maybe love connection, or it was and then it faded. The classic. What am I thinking? Goodness gracious, Cole Sprouse in his show on Disney, How Do You Lose a Woman? You Forget to Cherish Her. I just saw that video pop up on my Instagram a couple days ago, and like maybe he forgot to cherish her, and like he's grown since that moment. But there's a sense of like levity that Leah has that Bailey just did so wonderfully. Um, and like she's a little lost and is kind of a little bit of like rudderless, and she's just kind of going through life passively, and this challenge from Gigi, her grandma, really kind of puts her into drive as opposed to neutral. And so I think there's a lot that Mason and Leah do for each other. They kind of round each other out, and a little bit of opposites attract to it as well. So yeah, they're good. They're good together.
Yeah, there's so much wonderful chemistry, and you both just bring these characters to life with such levity, like you said, and grace and charm. There was a few scenes I wanted to ask you about that really made me laugh and had so much love to them.
Shoot.
The first one was when Leah is stacking Jenga blocks on your forehead. How many times did it take to film that scene? Because personally, I would have failed miserably if I was both Bailey or if I was in your position of trying to balance them.
So that came around very authentically. That was just an idea that was thrown out because the Jenga blocks were there. I think the idea was that they were being played with at one point by Bailey and Luxie, because she was over working on the sketches before I showed up with a power outage. And so, yeah, I want to say that was Bailey's idea. And we were like, wait, yeah, like her waking him up should be like something memorable. It should be something different and special. It shouldn't be just like, hey, wake up. You want some coffee? Like that's so easy. And so we decided to complicate it. And it was pretty hard stacking the Jenga pieces. I would laugh a little bit, like your core contracts a little bit and then your forehead like shakes and then it just all falls all over the place. Yeah, we had a ton of fun with that. That was a great scene. I feel like that turned out so well, and it's very memorable too. So yeah, good catch on that. Good way to call that out.
Thanks. No, that was super memorable because that was one of the scenes I actually went back and watched twice when I was prepping all my questions for today. I loved that scene, so that came across really sweet.
Yeah, yeah, that was a fun one to film. What was your other ones?
Another one I feel like I just have to ask about is the baby free scene, the meet cute in the pharmacy between the two. I was reading Sarah
Yes.
Howard's Instagram and she described it as one of her favorite scenes on set and said there was just so much hilarious footage. It was a genuine struggle to choose which take to use. Can you just take me through production of that scene? Because that was a ball of fun.
Absolutely, yes. So we got to the location. We've got our actors. Bailey and I are there, and then we've got our three supporting actors who are, coming in and crushing the comedy in that scene. We just, I was honestly like, I was the luckiest guy in the room because I got to just sit on the sideline and watch and enjoy the comedy where Bailey has to like improv with these guys and just be absolutely like embarrassed and miserable. And I just got to sit there and like just cover my grin in just like the most sincere way. Like I feel so bad for this girl, but this is objectively hilarious that this is happening, and I feel so bad for her. So the two guys who work at the store, they walk up and they are like comedy geniuses, nothing short of. They were adding to the script. Andy and Sarah, they were enjoying themselves so greatly. They gave those guys basically free reign to do whatever they want. And then the store manager comes over with her keys, and she jumped right in. She was like, "Okay, I see what we're doing here. Like, yeah, we'll have some fun with this." And she got free reign as well, and just like it was the truest moment of supporting cast is just as important to a scene as your lead. Like it doesn't matter. um the only way it gets stifled is if people aren't comfortable letting someone else overshadow them. Like those guys are funnier than me in the entire film. In like 3 minutes, they are funnier than me in the entire film, and like I'm fine with that. They elevate the film, and they made it better. They made us better. We had a great time, and like can't wait to work with them again. And so like you just let them be hysterical and funny, and just like I just got to have fun and just listen to them, and it was hysterical. And it's also a really important way to start the film because it sets you up and says like this is the kind of ride we're on. Buckle up, get ready. You're about to laugh your butt off, and I feel like we do that.
Absolutely. I was laughing the whole way through that scene and then the rest of
Awesome.
the movie afterwards. But that scene, like you said, really cemented it from the
Yeah,
start of what you're
yeah.
getting into. It's perfect.
Sets the standard. Yeah.
Before I have to wrap up here, last thing I wanted to ask you about, a large conversation in the film is about Leah trying to find her thing and her passion. Got me
Mm,
thinking, I wanted to ask you, you've been acting, I believe your first on-screen role was 2011, was Super 8 in film, and then in television, you're on R.L. Stein's The Haunting Hour. When
yeah.
did you know acting was a passion for you? What was that moment for you?
Yeah, so it was a hobby. It was just something to do. I wanted to do it because my cool older brothers were doing it. And I discovered through the course of doing Super 8, I was like, this is really fun. And there's a lot more, and I was 14, so I really didn't know all that much. In terms of like real world experience. I figured like, making movies is like, it's just a good time, da, da, da. But it's a lot of work, and it takes a village. It takes dedication from a ton of people across, all sorts of different, phases of life to come together and make this incredible film. Like we had props guys who are in their 50s, and I'm 14, and they're getting along with me and like being really cool and nice and like showing me like, if you hold it here, like don't change hands and hold it in the wrong hand for continuity. And like I had no idea what continuity was. There was there's a camera dolly, so the camera sits on a dolly, it gets pushed across the track. They want to film me. I was like, what is that? And they're like, he doesn't know what a camera dolly is. Oh boy, we're in for a ride, right? And so like just people being patient, and along that path and along that time and journey, I was like, I've I'm very blessed to have had this experience. And I was old enough to acknowledge that. And I had some really wild and wonderful, just incredible experiences on that film. I got to meet Steven Spielberg a couple times. Like, how insane is that? And working with JJ, like in my first job, I stumbled into checking boxes off of people's bucket lists that like I didn't. I was just in it. I wasn't aware of how cool it was. But over the course of that time, I learned. I was like, yeah, think I'm I think I'm going to do more of this if I can. And fortunately, I was. And it's been 16 years now, and I'm just so thankful and so blessed to be where I'm at.
Yeah, that is a heck of a first experience, but
It's
so
crazy.
glad, so glad afterwards because I look forward to seeing you in so many projects more now and in the future.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for your time, Joel. I really appreciate it. And again, congratulations on this film. I cannot wait for people to see it.
Very kind. Thank you, Nicole. Yeah, I hope everyone really enjoys it and just laughs. Just go laugh. Get some popcorn and laugh.
Perfect. What better way could you ask for at the movie theater?
That's all. That's all.